Hello there, I'm Jessica Summers, and today I have come out into what is a piece of wilderness that I have found, and I feel drawn today to explore what the wilderness can teach us, what information we can receive from the wilderness, maybe why it's important that we have wilderness. So I have an event coming up. It's sort of already begun on Friday, and ordinarily I would be at home stressing, panicking, sharing things to Facebook groups, worrying about the response I was getting. And this morning I checked in, I asked questions, and I realised that what was required of me was to let go and come to this place that I only found a few days ago, despite living in the town where I live for 9 months. And this place is in a mountain region called Mount Orjen in Montenegro, on the Montenegro Croatia border. And I feel so grateful because they've just had a new road put down. So it took me about 30 minutes to get here today before it took an hour. And I've become aware as I sit here that there always seems to be a war within me between the wilderness and the town, between the day and the night. And I can't help thinking of A Midsummer Night's Dream and the lovers who run off into the woods to be changed, to be transformed. And that was the role that the wilderness played many years ago. And when I talk about wilderness, I'm also aware of another meaning. The wilderness is also those parts of us that we don't know, that we're unsure about, that other people catch a glimpse of and are afraid or uncomfortable, and we don't even know they've seen our wilderness. And then I'm aware of the other side of us that wishes to shine a light, to make rational, to make logical, to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt what is there. And we see the same thing echoed on our planet, because everything that is within us is also without us. And I remember when I watched that David Attenborough film, I can't remember, a recent one, where he talked about, it was a very hopeful film, and he talked about the hope for the future of the planet was to increase wilderness. And I see a lot of activism, acting in the outside world to change things on the planet. A lot of it comes from fear, from lack. But today I'm just wondering if the wilderness on the planet increases when we increase the wilderness within us. So how do we increase the wilderness within us? You may know your own ways. I strongly believe that when we are willing to look within, and by look within, I don't believe I'm talking about integrating our shadow selves. I believe I am just talking about a very, very simple thing. Being present without the need to do anything with it, just being present. And what I have found is when we are present, now let's say for this example of wilderness, let's say with fear, with an area of our lives maybe that we have been avoiding, usually behind that is fear. When you are willing to be present with that fear, you don't have to do anything. Everything in your life subtly shifts. Almost like your reality spins 360 degrees and another vista is open to you. And it's actually a very ordinary and very mystical experience at the same time. And I believe it's through our presence that the wilderness, and let's call it the town, merge together, so there's no separation. And when that happens, all areas or many areas of our life where we have separated them out just somehow become clear and come together. Now, I was about to say I truly believe, but actually I'm not sure I believe anything. I like to play and experiment and hold concepts like this and experience an experiment in my life by bringing them together. So the way that I have done this, because we can say we need to be present with the wilderness, the dark woods, where the change takes place, and usually for the better after the story has come to an end. Some change in circumstances comes forward for whoever has dared to go into the woods. Some treasure is found. But the way that I have chosen to experiment, and it's almost like, not that this information was given to me, as if the information was there and I uncovered it. It's not coming from something I've thought about. I can see examples of what I'm doing in psychotherapy, in Jung, in many places, but we are all part of the same vast web of information. We live in a vast internet. The internet is a copy of what already exists. So the way that I am getting present, because we don't always know how. You know, we could say we avoid distraction, we meditate. All of this is doing something, and it doesn't necessarily lead you to being present with what is coming up to require your attention right now. So firstly, and this is particularly how this has worked out this time, I'm experimenting and taking part in the experiment of something called true grit, which is that without this willingness to be present with uncomfortableness, with places we're avoiding, then we can never be all we can be in the world, and we can't actually be the contribution to the planet, to society, that I know we're meant to be. And so I looked, or it found me, I noticed an area of my life where, when I considered it, I had feelings in my body. My heart was beating faster. It's basically fight or flight. When I began to look at it and get present, I wanted to run away. And I had lots of ideas about areas that I thought I should look at for True Grit. One of them was noticing that I get triggered when people are angry at me or telling me to do something. And there were various other areas. And as the time approached to begin, I noticed I was getting very stressed about showing up on social media, about sharing posts. And I had again these two sides. One side was the concept of the pureness and the givingness that True Grit is. And the other one was I have to make it fit this reality's box of what it needs to look like, which means going through the filter of social media. That's a hindsight explanation. I actually was making myself wrong, that I'm obviously no good at business, or I'm avoiding doing it. And then I realised, here's an area of my life that is two sides and I cannot bring them together. I do not know how I can solve this, resolve this. And those kinds of things are perfect for this process, which I call True Grit. Because then comes the point where we choose to commit to changing it. Now, commitment is apparently saying you're going to do something and sticking with it and using force. And I don't believe that kind of commitment creates lasting change. And I don't believe it is, for want of a better word, sacred commitment, where there is a sort of dance with what appears when you commit. So what I discovered about commitment through doing this was that commitment is in fact making the decision to do it, to say, I don't know how, I don't know what's going to be asked of me actually, but I commit to doing this now, or being this, whatever it is. And then you close the book. You don't revisit that decision. You don't have to check on it. You don't have to do anything with it. You in fact have to let go. So commitment is actually making the commitment and then letting go of how it shows up. This great resolution of the wilderness and the town that's going to take place. You let go of deciding whether you will or you won't do what shows up for you, and it will show up for you. I don't know why this is. I don't know why I can tell you with such certainty that this works for everybody without fail. And then what you really need then is to not be alone. To share a space with other people who are also saying, here is something I don't have the power to resolve. I'm putting it here for something greater than me to resolve. And when we all do that, there is a space appears. And I'm being silent there because this space it's not empty. Within it is, and there just aren't words. We know what to do next. We know how to speak with people in the group so it creates more. Not even supportive. There's no empathy. There is no sympathy. There is no advice. There is a knowing that whatever happens in this group and is put into the group creates more for everybody, far greater than if I was doing it alone. In fact, you can't do it alone. And that feels very, very wonderful to me. I have spent a lot of my life proving I can do it alone and that I'm not as wrong as I thought I was. And to finally find a way of togetherness. Let's just use healing for want of a better word, but it's not a word I particularly resonate with. But it's a space where together we're accountable for what shows up in our lives, like a meta space. And this week, the challenge begins on Monday the 19th, and I'm opening the group on Friday. In fact, it's open now in case people want to explore. But this week, I have been, I won't say going through the challenge first, and it wasn't what I planned, it was what showed up. Again, I don't know how I know these things. Everybody just knows what to do next. And it's my second week. And yesterday, I was unsure. A lot of doubt crept in. A lot of shame came up. And actually it's supposed to. I called it a challenge, and it can be. Because when you're running into the woods, when now, in our lifetimes, we have fences keeping you out for your own safety. We have signs telling you not to enter to dangerous places in case of injury. So when you run into those woods, there are force fields that are there to stop you. And I'm not analysing what those force fields are, I just know they're there because I experience them. And it's really important that the person who is facilitating this journey with you has a map. And I'm gaining my map this week, and it's the second time I've done it. The first week is all enthusiasm and power, mostly, for what the awareness that actually I'm the one who's been stopping me. I am the one who can change this for me. And nobody can stop me. And after this, a new space opens up, because you've got present with the first layer of woodland. But there's another layer. And now all your safety mechanisms will kick in. You forget why you're doing it. You tell yourself it isn't that important. You actually won't know what to do for a while. You won't know what's being asked of you. And this is where being really present comes in. And sharing. And enlisting support and admitting that you do not know what to do. Something you're never supposed to admit in this world. And I'm at this particular point now, and it's no different every time I do it. There is always a new depth of wilderness to discover. And yesterday I went through all of those experiences of doubt, questioning, why am I doing this? And I'm here now without any answers, just trust, just curiosity, an openness, and a willingness to not give up. In fact, I can't give up anymore. And much as I want that for you, I cannot give it to you. It is a choice. And it may not be that you can do it this time. All I can promise you is this is here for you. Massive. Uncovering of you. And the trust is that what is uncovered is worth uncovering. You are worth uncovering. And I believe we're waiting for you.